this too. I think we all do this. Even when you've got a modulation on, it inspires you to get a little more with shaking the neck, right? Hey, what's up? It's the Tim and Pete Guitar Show. We know we've been away for a while. We're sorry, but we're going to get back on track, right?
Yeah, we put our heads down and we don't come up for air, and then a couple months go by and we got to do another show. So
that's right.
We're going to try and rectify that. So
here we are. We're happy to be here with Mr. Lyle Workman, our guest for today. Lyle is a fantastic guitar player. I've known you for maybe 20 years now, I think, at least, and has an incredible career being a sideman with folks like Sting, Beck, Frank Black from the Pixies for a long time, but he's also transitioned into this fantastic film composition and scoring career, and we find that really interesting. So,
yes, we do.
Lots to talk about.
So, Lyle, your studio is really amazing. Yeah, it's guitar heaven. You have a lot of old instruments, and I know for a fact from the musicians who emerge from your work days at the wee hours that you'll sit in here for 12, 15 hours working?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Many times it's because I have a deadline.
Right.
In the world of making music for TV and film, you've got deadlines. And the thing is, let's say, okay, we want a song in a week. You could do it in a day, or you could do it up to 5 minutes before it's due. You know what I mean? It's really kind of how you work. I have a tendency to want to make things as good as I can make it, and go sort of beyond what's really needed, because that's just me. You know, I want it to be great, and you know, most things that are great take time.
Yeah, they're often a lot harder.
That's stupid.
It's hard work.
Stuff just takes time. It absolutely does. And I'm trying to deal with that more in my own. It's just like, look, I'm always thinking that I'm going to get something done quicker than I can, and it's like just things take time.
And sometimes I'll do something really quick, thinking, oh, I don't need to be so picky about this. And then I look back on it and go, you know, I should have done better because I'm not that proud of it. So it's, I understand.
I think sometimes you can hit lightning in a bottle, if that's the right phrase, and something just kind of happens and it's fast and all that. But, you know.
Do you find that sometimes pressure and deadlines lead to, you know, you doing things in a different way or coming up with something you might not have, like maybe it's better having that pressure, or, you know, kind of bearing down on you, and then you...
Well, it's forced limitations. You know you have to get done by a certain time, and so there's certain elements of the building of the music where you might say, I could save a lot of time doing whatever it might be. You know, I could save, instead of going through 5 amps and 10 guitars, I think if I could just plug in my pedal board and in an amplifier and get the sound that's going to work in the context of the song or the piece of music that doesn't necessarily require me to take all that extra time.
Right.
Now I'll fuss with that, you know, as long as I possibly can. But I have to sort of keep monitoring the end of the line, and making sure that the progress is being consistently made. Right. So sometimes I'll just stop myself. Okay, I can't spend any more time on this.
Right. They're all like your children, these cues, and you probably have to spend like more time on some of the more important ones, perhaps, and then others you can.
Yeah, you know, if it's kind of it's a simple rock thing, then obviously you know that's in my sleep kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's an orchestral thing, and I want to get the right oboe sound in the sample, or you know, just to present it. You know, it's sometimes it could be like more like animation, where you really got to draw each cell just perfectly, so that the whole picture ends up being what you want it to be.
Right.
So when you're up against a deadline, what is your sleep pattern? 4 hours, maybe? 6 hours?
Yeah, probably more than 4 and 6.
Yeah.
But I'll work. The thing is, for me, I don't know about you. I bet you guys are the same. Or maybe not. But ever since I've been, 17, 18 years old, clubs, staying out late, playing gigs, I've just really sort of burned that into my DNA, being sort of a late night person. And I always even when I don't have to, even when I'm not on a deadline, I like, there's something about the nighttime, something about everyone's asleep, and it's 1 o'clock, and I know I can get a lot done, because I still have, I'm not tired.
Yeah, and you hire a lot of people that we know, a lot of friends of ours, and I always hear the stories of, yeah, we were with Lyle at 5 a.m., you know, I'm going to go home. But they love working with you, but it's a long...
It's a good time to get work done, for sure.
It just gets really zen-like and quiet,
Yeah.
and there's, no one's asking me for things, or
Right.
you know, in the production side of the projects.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, so it just seems like and luckily I can sleep in when I need to. So
Right, there you go. If you're making the hours, then you can
Yeah.
choose to. So tell us a little bit about, before we started filming here, we were talking a bit about, it's a fascinating thing to me. By the way, we're sitting here, to me, with two of the guys that have really got it all figured out as far as guitar in Los Angeles. You know, I just wrote an article, by the way, called The Company You Keep. For my premier guitar column that happens monthly, and I'm in really good company right now. So it's like,
that's really nice to hear.
and I think it's fascinating that you've made this transition, you know, between the world of, you know, kind of touring sideman, session musician, playing with people like Frank Black from the Pixies and Beck and Sting and all these
And
fantastic
Todd
people.
Rundgren, too, right?
Yeah,
Todd Rundgren.
earlier, yeah.
I hear that in your music, so...
Yeah. And
Yeah.
3 solo albums
Yeah.
that you put out. You know, it's incredible to me. I mean, that part of your career stands on its own and would be a fantastic career in its own right. And then you made this transition into film composition and scoring, which is like a whole nother world. And as a guitar player out there, it's like, you know, to me, it's like I started out when I was a kid thinking, playing in bands, I'm going to write songs, playing a band, that's my dream, you know. But then there's all these other things that you can do. And I never dreamed of composing music for film or, you know. So that's a really fascinating transition that you made, I think. And,
and completely accidental. I mean, it wasn't.
Accidental.
I moved to Los Angeles 20 years ago
Okay.
to be Tim Pierce. Honestly,
Amazing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. To be. That was like the role model for me. It's like to go and just play on records, and stay in town and do different projects every day and work with different people.
And I remember seeing you at Capitol doing
Yeah.
that stuff. I remember seeing you down there.
Yeah, and so that was the focus, and to play live, because that's always a big part of has been a big. It's less now just because of where the path has led me.
Right. You came from Northern California.
Northern California, yeah.
Yeah.
But I was at that time I was playing with Frank Black, and he lived here, and I realized all my income was basically from being in his band and touring and playing on records, and so it was like, and I just felt like I liked Marin County, but there was just no support for what I did there. There wasn't enough of a
no campus, no music campus.
Yeah, this
really.
just wasn't enough.
Right.
And so I moved here just to pursue session work and all that, and just connections. It's always about you meet someone at a session like, hey, I think I'm going to recommend you for this thing.
Yeah.
It's all word of mouth.
All word of mouth.
It's always that.
Yeah.
You know, you probably hear that every time you
Yeah.
talk to people.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
But you really went from session guy. I'll condense it. Session guy for a jingle company.
Okay.
Writer for a jingle company. Meeting a guy at a session. Doing an independent film for his friends, and then working for a composer who ended up introducing me to this Universal music executive who I was doing a favor for his own personal project in my studio, and then giving him my little CD that had some commercial music written for it and some of the other just my own personal stuff. And he gave me this opportunity to write some music for a Universal film, and one of the producers was as additional music, not as the composer, and Judd Apatow was the producer.
Amazing.
And so after that, he got his deal. I was kind of on a list.
Oh, that's how it works.
To submit submit some music, and so I just happened to I got super lucky, and that was 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Which was
So that was
huge.
my first major movie was that, and it was #1 for 2 weeks, and I was complete and unknown in that world.
Incredible,
And so that
yeah.
really started my whole career.
Right, so then it was, went on to Superbad, right? And
Yeah, a bunch of different movies.
Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
The incredible Burt Wonderstone that plays
Yeah.
in my house a lot.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
And terrific soundtracks. I mean, like when I think about Superbad,
Oh, yeah.
like the musicians you had play on that, right? There's a story
Yeah.
behind that, right? That's really
Yeah, we, that was a situation where the music, when I met Greg Mottola, the director, and was written by Seth Rogen and his partner Evan Goldberg. they started writing this movie when they're in high school
Amazing.
together.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's super bad. So the whole idea was like, hey,
Yeah.
well, it'd be really cool to have this funk music against these sort of these dudes, you know, these kids.
Right.
It's juxtaposition of the worlds.
Right.
And so, you know, that was already there. So I can't take any credit for that. But my thought was like, well, because when I watched the first cut of the movie, they had all this great iconic funk music, R&B, soul,
Yeah.
you know, like the real stuff. And I thought, well,
You wanted to live up to that, right?
I wanted to live up to it because I knew some of that stuff was going to some of the songs was going to stay in there, and I didn't want this to go from, you know, iconic, amazing music to like sterile, you know, whatever.
Right.
I had to make it correct. You know, I
Had to
make
feel
it,
and sound.
Yeah.
So that
cool.
was
So it all tie together.
So, yeah, so
Sound
it
like
all
maybe
tie
the
together.
same band or whatever.
yeah. So we kind of have a nice
Yeah.
continuity, and the funny story about this is. It's like the first person on the mind was Bootsy Collins,
Right.
because he navigates that whole world from James Brown to Parliament,
Right.
you know, and then to his own stuff. So he was like kind of a guy that's, and he's just such a character and such an iconic guy, and consequently a fantastic human.
Yeah.
Like the coolest guy I've ever met in my life.
Wow,
Was
cool.
Bootsy. He's like,
Good to know.
He was just the coolest guy. He was just, I don't know how to say it any more than that, but.
That must have been
Yeah.
exciting making that connection. Saying, "Are you interested in doing this?" Or
And the
however
funny,
you-
yeah, it was exciting for me because I love that music. I, you know, grew up listening to a lot of different music, but
Yeah.
definitely those genres were really important to me.
Yeah.
And then so my thought was, well, how do I get in touch with Bootsy Collins?
Right.
Like, well, I don't know anybody that knows him, you know, and I happened to get an email from, do you know Godlike, the company that makes the pedals?
Yeah.
Godlike.
Yeah.
Kevin over at Godlike, they do Maxon and stuff in it, and it was like a graphic ad in the email. Bootsy Collins appearing for Godlike at NAMM show. I literally like
That's how you
that
introduce
literally,
yourself.
like a couple days after I had the idea, I saw that. It just came on,
Wow.
and you know I have an endorser of Maxon, and,
Yeah.
and I know
Yeah.
Kevin,
Right.
and so I called Kevin and said, hey, I'm working on this movie and I really like to get Bootsy involved. I'm going to go to the NAMM show and I want to go up to him and talk to him, but is there any way you could just maybe let him know that this could happen? So that it's not like just freaking out. And as a matter of fact, if you can give me a number now, I'm happy to talk to his manager, just so that we can.
Right.
I just don't bum rush him about with a bunch. You know what it's like.
Yeah,
at NAMM
yeah,
show.
right,
Trying to
yeah.
have a conversation at NAMM show
Yeah.
is like it's
Yeah.
impossible.
Yeah.
So just in advance, so it was set up. I think he talked to Bootsy, and Kevin got me goes, hey, he's great. He's expecting you. And I said, okay, we'll see you at Saturday, and I even let name to time. And I brought the director of the movie and the music supervisor to the NAMM show. We've never been to the show, and we go up to the booth, and sure enough he's there, and we have a great talk for about 5 minutes, and got exchanged some numbers, and then he through Bootsy, Bootsy was on board. He said, well, we got to get 2 drummers. We got to get, I said, well, those are the guys I want, and Bernie goes, yep. So we were all kind of on board.
Amazing.
And that's how the whole thing was set up. And
Things do happen at the NAMM show.
it was, can you believe that? I just happened to get that email.
That's
Amazing.
great.
That's
Yeah.
incredible. So
There's some film of that somewhere, right?
Yeah, Capital.
Yeah, but is it on YouTube or anything? Is
Yeah.
there somewhere people can look for it?
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
Okay, great.
What would
How
you
they-
search?
yeah,
We'll
what
try
would
and
you
find the
search
link.
It's
for?
probably
Put it in the
super bad
description.
music.
Yeah, okay.
Super bad music.
Yeah.
I
session.
know.
Yeah.
It's probably still there. It seems
Because
like-
even 2 minutes of that session is worth looking at. I mean, it's
Yeah, it was
awesome.
really
Yeah.
fun.
I mean, that must have been showing up to do that and have those guys come and.
Yeah.
What was that?
Oh, it was incredible. It
Yeah.
was, well, I'd sent the music ahead because I demo everything here in my studio
Yeah.
with great, and really the music could have been in the movie. The stuff that I'd done
Sure.
here with
And
my
you play drums on that stuff too, don't
No.
you? No, okay.
No, that
You
was
do
Victor-
play drums though.
a little bit.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I played drums a little bit, but I had Victor and Drizzle
Yeah.
play
Right.
drums and Sean Hurley on bass, and great musicians, and it sounded good. It sounded really good.
Yeah.
I made CDs of the material of the demos once everything was signed off, and I sent it to all the guys so that they would, because I had a feeling that they're not going to be shown. Okay, let's see the charts.
Yeah, right.
know?
Right.
Yeah.
It turns out that Bernie Worrell was a reader, and
Yeah.
he's
right.
great.
Yeah, good.
Right.
And nobody else could read. And as a matter of fact, I remember Jabo Starks, was the first to arrive with Clyde 3 feet behind him at the Capitol, and he sees all the music stands because I just wanted to have them there because I had everything written out just in case, and it helps for me just to be able to reference stuff, if I needed to. And he goes, "Lyle, what is this?" Playing music stand. "Is that percussion?" I said, "It's percussion. You can hit it any way you want."
Right.
But we recorded, I think it was over 4 or 5 days.
Wow.
And we would literally just listen. We'd listen to the cue and practice it.
That's nice.
And we just practice it. And I realized that we had click tracks because everything has a start and a stop. But I realized right away that it was a killer for vibe.
Wow.
Yeah. So we after like one bar in, I go, we'd use the click track just to count us into the beginning of the scene and then turn it off. And so I'm looking at the pit. We have the video screen, so I'm looking at them, making sure it's all. And I'm playing too. I'm also playing at the same time.
Yeah.
And early on, we did the first cue, and as we were, as I was kind of like talking over the arrangement, we just listened to as a band.
Yeah.
Yeah. Job will say, "Wow, you got the microphone. Why just keep you just keep talking us through the arrangement as we're playing it." And we're, "Oh, okay." So like that's kind of a James Brown role, like go to the bridge,
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Amazing.
Yes, and so I'm literally like looking at the video and I'm playing and I go, "Okay, here we go. Okay, we're coming to the next part. Okay, 1, 2," and I'm doing that. And that's what I did for every cue.
Incredible.
Which is really
You made it easy for them and comfortable for them. And,
comfortable, but
safe.
it was hard on my
Great.
brain.
Yeah.
I was exhausted.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
a lot of
sure.
really classic records, people, I don't know if everybody knows this, but prior to computer gridded recording, a lot of classic records would gain 2 to 5 BPM from the beginning of the song to the end of the song.
That's a fascinating thing.
And
to
that
think.
is a great thing.
Yeah, it sure
It
is.
can be a great thing because you don't know what's happening, but the energy's just slightly building.
You hear Jimmy Page talk about that in It Might Get Loud, where he's talking about how he wanted Led Zeppelin, like he wanted it to speed up, and he's like, it should get fat. I wanted to have these ebbs and flows in the music, like an orgasm, he says in the movie,
But then I'm sure you made
climax.
tempo maps that where you can keep the click and do that.
Well, it's an interesting thing whenever you approach a song these days. I mean, at least when I'm recording my own music or doing certain things, it's this thing. Should we turn the click off? Maybe in the bridge, and let it ride out for the end, or should we? Or maybe we just have the click in for the intro and the. I go through these things a lot when I'm recording because everybody's so to the grid these days and stuff, and that just wasn't a thing until the last 20 years.
Well, I have a crew that I work with that spends about an hour on a tempo map while we're all sitting there waiting, and that achieves what you're talking about. Where is the bridge better if it's a slower thing? And so that's one way to do it with the computer.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, when you and that's in the film world, I guess you have to work that way sometimes. Right?
Yeah. I was a little worried at the first cue when I realized the click track wasn't going to work. That I have to stop at a certain time, but it wasn't cartoon music where we need the sound of the pan of the head retaining the shape of the frying pan right at this moment. It was like cartoon music. It was. I just knew it had to kind of end around this time and fade out a little bit. And the interesting thing was that we still got to here to there.
Yeah.
Where it needed to go, but it would kind of go like this. It would almost didn't really have any problems with not having a click track. And in retrospect, I'm really glad that we didn't go with the click track because it just made that music even better, I think.
Well, there's an organic quality, to and without thinking about what it was, I remember seeing the movie and going, "This is so cool," and just like there it is.
Yeah.
Like all those elements, I guess.
Yeah.
Or and it ends up you're feeling it watching the movie, not watching it as a musician or as a way you're just trying to enjoy something.
Indeed.
And it's
As I always have the feeling somebody else has a better idea than I have. So I want to know what you're using. I want to know, because I'll go online and see what you're doing. I see your great videos, which are fantastic. By the way.
Thank you so much.
You do incredible service, and expose. You do such a great job with all displaying all that stuff and all
Thank
the
you.
gear. So I'm like, what's Pete using there? What's Tim doing? You know, so it's
Well, it's so much fun.
it's like everyone else's pedal board is more interesting than yours. I
Absolutely,
always
I
feel
feel
like
the
that.
same way.
Like, what are you using? You know?
Yeah. It's
What do I not know about?
What am I
This is-
missing? Why did I forget
Exactly.
about that? Oh, I had that one 10 years ago, and he's
Yeah, maybe I should put that back on there.
Yeah.
Well, guitar rigs, I say, are like snowflakes. No two are the same, and it's like that's what's fascinating about it is that we're all going to gravitate towards some, and end up with some different setup
Yeah.
that's like so cool. But so let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I love
So
your
much-
clean tones.
Sure.
And so, how do you like to get a clean sound? I've heard maybe it's a Fender Princeton sometimes, or
My
a particular guitar.
my go-to is a Fender Princeton. There's two things I use for clean: is a Fender Princeton and a divided by 13. It's that right there. Actually, it's right there above your head.
Which one? Because I think
The
we
37 plus.
Oh, you like the
Yeah,
37
mine-
for clean?
he made me a small version of it. It's
Oh,
a real
okay, cool.
price-
So it's like
yeah,
a one-channel
It's a one,
FDR
or
37.
one or two off. I don't think it's a common. It's not on the line, but it's the 37 plus.
Great.
Cool.
And that's if I'm doing live. That's my amp I use, or I'll use two of them. With Sting, I use two of those for the clean sound.
Awesome.
But a Fender Princeton, is kind of desert island as well.
Okay, then effect-wise, is there a compressor involved or a particular guitar that you
Yeah,
go to?
well, this is sort of my meat and potatoes board. If you want to take a look at it, basically it is some compression. I love this multi-comp for guitar.
Okay.
For me, it's the one that I've at this point it's the best one for me. My touch.
That's a perfect example. I used to use one of those, and I wore the knobs off.
Really?
The actual knobs, the rubber knobs got worn off. So
Wow.
Wow. Who makes that pedal?
It's an EBS. It's a bass.
Yeah.
It's a bass compressor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And it's not on very much. I don't have much compression on at all. It's just a little bit. It just kind of brings kind of a presence and warmth to the sound that I really like.
Can we play through it?
Sure,
Maybe you
sure.
show us like what. Set nice and light. It's just adding just a little bit of compression, right?
it brings everything right up into your face, and all the notes are even. So I get it. Yeah.
Just pumps up the tone a little bit.
Yeah. So that's just kind of
Beautiful.
And I got this. This also could just bring a little bit more body to it.
What is that pedal? Never
It's a Shanks.
Oh, it's a
John
Shanks pedal.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a little fatter.
Yeah.
Nice.
And sometimes I use this is just essentially a VB2.
Oh,
A VB2. What do you call it?
vibrato pedal,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, vibrato pedal. Just
And where's the delay coming from?
right now it's just reverb.
Oh, just reverb. Okay.
And it's a big sky reverb.
Yeah.
Sky reverb, excuse me.
Yeah. And then if I want a little bit the delay, I love this Line 6 pedal. The setting for the the analog with modulation. It's all about modulation.
Me
and
too. I'm the
delay.
same way.
It's gotta have.
Gotta have it.
Gotta have.
Yeah, I mean, really, to me,
Me
the
too.
quintessential is the memory man.
Yeah. Memory man.
Sure.
That's like the kind of the best sound.
And you told me about Echo Boy a long time ago. Do you use Echo Boy in
Oh
all the
yeah,
time?
yeah.
And you choose the memory men setting? Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah, I thought you
This is
said
the
that.
best. This is the Sound Toys plugin.
Exactly.
Yeah, the Echo Boy.
The
memory
best
man.
plugins, right? For delay. It's fantastic. So now I notice with your playing, even when, and I do this too, I think we all do this, even when you've got a modulation on it, it inspires you to get a little more
yeah.
with
Yeah.
shaking the neck,
Yeah.
right?
really beautiful.
Sounds beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of and then also it's just a touch and
Yeah, it's your hands
yeah,
too.
just not playing too hard and keeping it kind of delicate.
You play with your thumb a lot like that to kind of brush chords?
Yeah.
Because that's really cool. I mean, to not have the attack of the pick, but rather a nice smooth sweep of your thumb and then roll on the volume control, right? That's a really cool technique.
You know where I stole that from?
Where?
Jan Ackerman.
Oh.
You guys know Jan Ackerman from Focus?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as a kid, that Hocus Pocus thing was on the radio. It's like blew my mind.
Me too.
And he was using. Oh yeah, that's right. He was that guy,
Right.
and I just love that.
Do you mainly use the volume control on the guitar for swells, or do you use a pedal sometimes?
Mostly this.
Yeah.
But sometimes if I need my hands here, then
Yeah.
I'll use the pedal.
Do you find that you gravitate towards a certain guitar for doing that type of thing? Or
Yeah,
like, is that
Telecaster.
This one's the
Telecaster style.
Okay.
Because I'm comfortable with it where the knob is.
Yeah.
Is there a distorted sound that you like out of this pedal board?
Yeah.
Something for leads?
That's one area. I don't know about you guys, but that is an area that I'm always kind of shifting, trying to find some new way of getting
it's
to it.
mercurial.
That's exactly the way. That's the area I'm always.
Yeah.
This is. I have this Teaser Stallion as a distortion pedal. I think it's a really good. The Catlin Bred.
Okay.
Catlin Bred pedals I think are really good. I've got a few. This Echo Rec is unbelievable.
Yeah, I have one of those.
Oh yeah.
Really, really great. But I've got another. I have a pedal board over there, which is kind of like my more current, like sort of overdrive distortion.
Oh.
Okay.
This is kind of the current du jour catch of the day.
It evolves. Well, I noticed you have a lot of great distorted type, like the Comet and the Marshalls in your studio. So you're probably trying to, if you're like me, you're trying to always achieve that thing that like once you get used to amp distortion.
And that's for me. That's always the best. If I'm recording, I'm always if I'm going to be getting that kind of sound, I always go to the amps because I've got a studio. I can crank it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get some great sounds with. I mean, you can get great sounds with digital stuff and XFX and all that stuff. Fantastic, I think. They're all really good. But I got it right there.
Right.
And it's just.
Yeah, people ask me about modeling, and I say I love it, but I have all this stuff sitting here.
Yeah.
And for me, I exist in that last 5% where the people who hire me actually want the real tones, and I love everything that gets up to 95%.
Sure.
It gets better all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's that last 5% where you hear the microphone, the mic pre, you hear the air, you hear the amp. It's still there.
Yeah.
And the fact that you can change it greatly by manipulating the mic or turning. You know what I'm saying? It just is all those other factors you can get right to. Better.
But having
a little
said
more
this,
organic.
I guess we've got terrific pedals these days.
Yeah,
and they can do a lot of great
this
things
is a
too.
Dumbloid,
Yeah,
which is like it's fantastic. You know this pedal?
I don't.
Really great. It's I don't know. I never really.
Is it gettable? Can you
Yes.
get it?
Oh yeah. They're
In
made
Japan.
They're expensive, but they're really great. And this is supposed to sound like a Supro, like the Jimmy Page Supro amp. I don't know. It just sounds great. This is a
JHS.
Jan Ray, yeah, it's
yeah.
a good
I
one.
love this company. Great
They're
stuff.
so great. Yeah.
This is essentially a clone.
Oh.
A clone made by the guy who made the clones.
Okay.
Right.
And I don't know what this
KTR.
does.
Yeah.
What does that do?
I'm not sure.
These are great though. I love my Jan Ray for doing kind of like, I think of it almost as tweetish.
Yeah.
Like it's got this warmth to it that it just, and it can be almost like roll the volume down the guitar down to 7 with that on, and it's basically clean, but it gives this warmth and body.
That's exactly right.
That makes me think of tweed amps.
So this is just like this more stuff, but I have to say, this I love this pedal still.
A good old full drive too.
Yeah, I really do. It just it's not, as they say, transparent. It adds mid range, as you probably know.
Yeah.
But you know what? Mid range is great.
Yeah.
That's kind
Yes.
of what makes the guitar cut through the mix.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know, and sometimes the thing with guitars and amps and everything is like, well, you can sit in a room and play it, but how does it work when you're playing live or when you're trying to record with it?
Sure.
Is it giving it you what you want? And sometimes I'll think something sounds great until I try to record with it, and I just can't make it work.
Yeah.
You know,
or
or-
play live and you disappear when you turn it on.
That's
Yeah, and that's the
exactly
thing
right.
about having an amp in front of you. You feel all this stuff in your chest, and you don't know what it really sounds like because it's great because it's vibrating your chest.
Yeah.
It's a speaker right in front of you.
Yeah.
Put a microphone in front of it, and all of a sudden it's going through something the size of a quarter.
Yeah.
And you have to bring back all that size somehow.
That's right.
You know, and mid-range
Yeah.
is a way to do it.
It's a
I've been
different thing.
doing something really radical lately. I've been turning the bass all the way off on my amp while I record.
Yeah.
And it actually works great because the mid-range and the top end get more powerful. So.
Yeah, exactly. And it also it takes it. If your sound has that much bass in it, it's going to conflict with other things. So
That's- yeah.
people go, well, we just
Yeah.
had to turn it down.
And
or
people
we had
have
to
been
shave it all
yeah,
off.
yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's
I
you learn
agree.
those things later on.
Yeah.
You learn the contextual secrets.
Yeah, you let the drums and
Yeah.
the bass have that spectrum, you know.
Let me ask you guys something if you found this recently, because I'm finding that a lot of guitar players are getting into recording more and more.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
you know, and they're getting more experience with it. And it's something that I've noticed because I'm a big, user of impulse responses and load boxes, and these things are making it easier for people, I think, to record guitar at home in their studio, home studio environment. Or whatever.
Yeah.
But one thing I hear a lot from people is they say, "Oh, my amp doesn't. It's distorted. What's happening with the distortion? And I don't hear it when I'm playing." And I think there's a thing with when you're in a room with an amplifier and it's off, like this amp right here is down at our ankle level, you know?
Yeah.
It's down there, and it's like you're listening to it, interacting with the room when you're playing through it, right? But as soon as you stick a microphone on that amplifier and mic it up, and now you're listening to it through studio monitors, you're going to hear some distortion or a little bit of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Do you find that it's
Absolutely.
like, that's a good thing, I think, to note that I'm getting a lot of these emails every day with people saying my amp sounds more distorted than I thought it would, and I think
Yeah,
it's-
there's a little crackle that comes out of the
Right.
speaker that you have to deal with
That you-
sometimes.
yeah, and you don't hear it
exactly.
when you're just
you don't
in the
hear it
room,
when
right?
you're in the
It
room.
gets
Yeah.
masked. Yeah.
Yeah.
Masked.
It's the thing where you might have to. So for me, that's like because your amp sounds nice and fat at a certain thing when you're listening to it, and then you mic it and go, "Oh, it's kind of distorted. I got to back it down," and then it gets a little thinner. And this is maybe where compressors and things come into
Yeah.
to fatten up the tone, right?
Yeah, and I find that Fred's amps don't have much of that. Whereas if you were using a JCM 800, you might be dealing with more of that. But that's one of the
Right.
things I like about Fred's amps is
Divided
the
by
distortion
13.
seems to not give you that harshness when you put a microphone in front of it.
I love his amp so much.
me too.
You know, there's 3 of them right there, and they're these is the constant rotation amps right there, and
Yeah.
you know the bin that I played, the second I played, I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, it just
Frederick,
it's,
divided by 13. Let's give him some love.
Frederick divided by 13.
And this
He's a
thing,
good guy.
every time I see one of these at the hardware store, I dream of
we
doing
gotta-
this.
Yeah.
we gotta
You
show
did
guys
it.
This.
That's
This
the
is
greatest.
really brilliant.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
a
How do you store your pedals? Is the question. Yeah.
well, I'm trying to remember now. Did someone else tell me about this, or did I discover this on my own?
Well,
Yeah.
you posted it on Facebook. I remember.
Yeah.
I was blown away because it's like, yeah, we've got this
Home
tool
Depot
chest.
tool chest, and for whatever reason, the depth of the drawers is so conducive to pedals. If you can see right here,
Yeah.
you see this right there. You see the clearance.
That's amazing.
It's just
Look at
perfect. Yeah. And that's a high pedal.
That is.
And it's a high pedal, so it's just you don't waste space.
Yeah.
And just pulling out the drawer, they're on ball bearings. It just feels so good.
Yeah, I got to do this.
Well, the other thing that's good about that is that if something is
Incredible.
easy to get to, you're going to use it. If it's packed away somewhere, you're not going to use it because you're too busy. You're moving too fast. So
Yeah.
love it.
one of the merits of this is you can go grab it,
Yeah.
plug it in, use it.
And a quick segue, because of you,
Yes.
the Cahayan.
Oh, you got the Cahayan.
Cahayan.
Good. Yeah.
Because
like
of
it?
you, yeah. I love it.
I love
I've
mine, too.
got 8 amplifiers and 2 cabinets connected.
So
All
it's
these guys.
the amp switcher. It's totally transparent, makes
Yeah.
no noise, allows you to switch with a rotary switch to any head that you want.
Yep.
It's like 4 cabinets.
4
too.
cabinets,
4
yeah. I've
cabinets.
got 2. Okay, but all these you can see they're all plugged in and ready to go.
And now they have a
Amazing.
MIDI one now.
Oh, really? Nice.
Which unit is it? Sorry, I know
Kahayan.
you've got one.
Is that what you're
Oh,
writing?
there it is. Right. That's the same one you've got in your studio.
Yeah.
Terrific.
Yeah, Pablo Kahayan is kind of a genius. He makes microphones and mic pre's and
Wow.
can't wait. I want to try some of his other stuff. Mixers.
Wow.
Yeah, he makes like a Neumann level microphone.
I've got to look into this because in my studio yesterday, I was literally like, I was thinking about you and the way that you do things. Now I see you've got one too, and I'm always like, I just switch the speaker cable and I'll switch the guitar cable, and the guitar cable was a little too short, and then I had the guitar on, and I was trying to get the speaker cable into the back of the amp. And I was like, God damn it!
Yeah, anytime you can shave off 20 or 30 seconds to what you're doing.
Right.
And this speaks to what we talked about at the very beginning about how do you know, you want it to be really good. Well, maybe you could say, instead of, well, I'm not going to switch amps because it's going to take me too long. Like,
There you
no,
go.
now I can do that.
Yeah.
I won't have to,
Yeah.
I could just do it really quickly
Yeah.
and make, so
You
you
know, I
find
did that
ways
same.
to just to save time, and that's a great time saver.
And you want to make the workflow as smooth and forward motion like as possible.
Yeah.
And plugging in cables and stuff, it can really steal that energy in that time.
Well, you've perfected that art.
Well, everything
as,
in
as,
my
as a yeah.
I made an airplane cockpit, and so everything is so close that my acoustic guitars particularly get badly dinged because it's they're always
Yeah,
hitting stuff.
sure.
But it's all reachable. I feel like a one-man band sometimes.
Yeah.
And I have stuff down on the floor, and it's like it's all reachable.
So
But
cool.
you do that in your library because I've seen your studio rig
Yeah.
too with all the way.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
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 At your home, but also when you go do sessions remotely.
Yeah, I actually like to get there about an hour early. You may do this too because it's almost like every inch counts.
Yeah.
And when the work starts to get really demanding, and maybe you've been working for a few hours and you start to get a little tired, it's really great to have it right there. Because
Interesting.
you're going, okay, yeah, you want this, you want that, you want tremolo, and it's right there. So
Yeah. Exactly. And it also not only does it save time, but it helps the creative
Yeah.
aspect of
Yeah.
it. Because then you're not having to stop the flow because you've got the two sides. You've got the creative side and then the technical side. Well, to achieve that, I've got to unplug. I've got to plug this cable in, and then that flow is kind of interrupted.
Yeah.
So if you go, oh wait a minute, click, click. Ah, yeah, that one.
back to the music.
How much that's so much faster
Yeah.
than
Keeps you in the moment. Yeah,
Keeps
it
you
can
in
be
the
where you
moment,
lose
yeah.
perspective, I think, sometimes when...
you can. You don't want to go down the rabbit hole, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
if
going
you
down
can
the
make it
rabbit
easier on yourself.
I
Cool.
set up my friend recently with the impulse response load box kind of recording setup,
Yeah.
in order to ease the workflow. And what he said was he used to, get an idea, be writing a song, working on something, and then it's like, okay, now I need to set up the tone. And then you try and get the tone's not quite right, and then you change it, and then it's like, okay, move the mic, or change the head, or do whatever you want to do. And then maybe you get it, but you're not as excited about it as you were in that moment when you were like,
Yeah.
and if you can get the flow going and stuff, and he said he described it as being like he gets the part, he envisions it, gets the part down so much more quickly with this new setup he's using that then he's excited about the next part,
Yeah.
and he stays in that excitement
Yeah.
state as opposed to
Yeah.
being like you get into the drudgery mode of
Yeah.
like losing the spark.
I agree.
So you're big inspiration for that, and of course your setup here
Yeah.
too.
It's very ergonomic.
It's super cool. So you've got two cabs set up. You've got a live room.
Yeah,
We should take a
that's-
quick
that's-
look. Here we are.
Drum solo! Right behind me is my acoustic station. So I've got this little L-shaped guitar warehouse. And then my mics are here, and then I've got a computer.
Oh, I was going to ask.
Monitor
Okay, so
mouse,
that's
so-
where you run. Okay.
So this is how all my acoustic is done here.
Yeah.
And connected to my Pro Tools.
Well, that's just what we were talking about. Everything's
Yeah.
within reach, and it's set up. It's like I like to say it's like starting a car. You just go boom, and you're
Yeah.
recording. You don't have to set anything up. It's ready to go. all
Yep,
the time.
it's ready to
Yeah.
go. Yep,
Efficiency.
my mics are set up, and
Yeah.
channels are all assigned
Yeah.
and all that. And in a lot of the work that I do, I work on this show called Love. It's a Netflix show. And it's really there's a lot of acoustic stuff, but sort of some of it's based on Mexican music, and it's just so I've got all these weird kind of
See
crazy. This is a bass,
Oh wow.
6-string bass. One of the strings broken.
Oh amazing.
But
That's
just
awesome.
different things, and
Where'd you
just
find
trying-
that?
Yeah, I was going to ask. Like,
McCabe's.
McCabe's.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
good. All right.
McCabe's, the classic store in Santa Monica for acoustic instruments.
This one looks amazing too.
Oh yeah, that's a $300 Washburn guitar. It's unbelievable. Records great. Besides that too. But,
That's all right. It's beautiful.
yeah, I mean, I'm finding now that inexpensive guitars can sound amazing, have a great character to them. And I've got old Martins and Gibsons and stuff, and I love them.
Yeah.
And this is like a really beautiful Traget custom made guitar that he's in Santa Cruz, and he's a fantastic builder.
That looks like it sounds really good.
Really high end stuff. But then I have a $300 Washburn. It was probably made in China or something like that. Oh, that's
One of
that's
your
on,
Ukes, maybe, or?
that's on a lot of my more common stuff.
Yeah, I've
less
heard
show. Yeah, that's a great sounding guitar.
Wow. Now, see, this is interesting. This probably records just beautifully. Some of these small
Unbelievable.
guitars, right?
That guitar sounds great.
Because there's a clarity.
It's fantastic. Cordova, it's at like $300, maybe $250.
That's
something
awesome.
like that.
That sounds beautiful.
Yeah.
That's great. This I've used this a lot. This Mandocello.
Oh, wow.
Sometimes I put tape. I put tape on the bridge so it gives it, just a different sound.
That's really
Just
cool. Yeah.
how we're always trying to melt what we do
Yeah.
as much as we can because it's
Yeah.
6 strings,
Right.
and so
That's amazing.
that's kind of it's really aided me quite a bit. And then of course you play something like this, an instrument you'll write something different.
Yeah. Well, you just wrote something right there. That sounded like, that was cool. That was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you didn't even know what fret you were on from
Yeah.
it.
No, so it's really the instrument that will inspire a sound, and
Yeah.
and I wouldn't write the stuff I write on this on an electric guitar. It just doesn't happen.
Sure.
And again, it's about being immediate, trying to get the music down as quickly as you can.
Yeah.
By having the right tool.
Yeah.
A lot of people ask me, how do you write so many songs for these pedal demo things that I do, right, on YouTube?
Yeah.
How do you keep? And
That's a
it's
very good
exactly
question.
what Lyle just is saying. It's basically you plug it in and it's got a sound.
It suggests
You go,
a
"Oh."
part and a sound and a style.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's
right.
as simple as what you just
Yeah.
did. It'd be like
Yeah.
you pick it up and you go, oh, and you play
That just
something,
happened.
and then
Yeah.
there's the song.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Okay.
like the sound.
That's
inspires.
exactly right. It really does. It's just it's sort of like beyond the intellect. It's just
Yeah.
But you gotta be equipped with the right tool.
Yeah, particularly with guitar, a sound and a part suggest a genre and a style.
Absolutely.
Immediately.
Totally,
You know,
right away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The tone steers you sort
It's
of.
real
right?
kind
Right.
of, as we talk about it, it all sounds like common sense, and it really is.
Yeah.
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 It's-
Right.
So it's it just takes up real estate is all.
Right.
And then you have the drums set up so that when you need a drummer to come in, they just play. They just come in, set up, ready to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's another thing that was really invaluable. I've used this instrument so much in it's a jarana. It's a Mexican.
Okay.
So it's like it's like a ukulele or in terms of the shapes. You're supposed to play it like That's why
You're doing it like you're supposed to.
Yeah, the pick guard goes up to here, and then
Wow.
I've kind of messed up. But you play it here, you don't play it here.
Okay.
That's the traditional way of playing it.
Uh huh.
But I get more out of it by. Then that was kind of an accidental way of playing, just using it as a finger picking instrument.
Oh wow.
But just,
It's so cool.
Candela's guitarist here in Los Angeles is a builder. Yeah, so his shop, he builds them. And he has sextos and all these other, traditional instruments. But again, you're going to write something completely different on that thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, he went right into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Trying to flat pick something.
So I know you're going to, at least you will buy one of these. And maybe you too.
It's really great.
Yeah.
Well, you can tell with these small body guitars,
Yeah.
they just record beautifully because there's not a lot of low end going on, and that's how you end up filtering out.
Hear all the
anyway.
mid-range too. It's just,
Yeah.
it's just a beautiful.
It really speaks. It's incredible.
You should go to the shop and play some
It's super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Beautiful.
Fun.
And then you've got your guitar cabs out here, obviously. So you got a 412 and a Princeton Reverb mic'd up.
Yeah.
And just ready to go.
Just kind of meat and potatoes here. I don't have tons of stuff.
And the 57 is probably meant to be right up against that, right?
Yeah, this is my combo. This 57 and the 121. It's kind of the it's really kind of the basic
The
setup.
basic thing, yeah.
And I'll move it up to here. I'm going to get some other mics though and stands and have it always mic'd.
Yeah.
Do that next.
Right.
But between your Fender and your Marshall and your AC30, your British style, lower wattage stuff.
Well, that's the other thing that happens when you're busy is you want to do something and then 8 months later you haven't done it.
Oh yeah, 8 months, probably 5 years.
It's time for another solo record.
When
right.
When you're working professional, it just happens that way. It's
Totally.
just, which you are. So.
Yeah. It's an exercise in juggling 100 million different things.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Like trying
And it's like you have to
That's
push
right.
forward on the highest priority all the time.
Yeah.
And
That's
so
exactly
that
right.
stuff-
Yeah,
Yeah.
so stuff falls by the wayside.
Yeah.
The stuff gets
Yeah.
done that needs to get done.
Exactly.
Right.
Like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm not going to get paid unless I get this.
right.
A being 5 different speaker cabinets.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I mean, there was a time when I had time for
Yeah.
that.
Right.
Not anymore.
Do that. I know you have like 3 solo records. You have more than that?
No, I have 3.
That's okay, great.
One in the making.
Okay. Like which record would you recommend for somebody to hear you play lead guitar?
Probably the last one I did it's a few years old now, but it's called Harmonic Crusader.
Okay, great.
You can find it on CD Baby.
Yeah.
But it's I kind of liken it to having a Ferrari and only being able to drive it a little bit, but I just kind of go crazy. So it's like for anyone that wants to.
It's a deep record. I remember.
Yeah, it's like
listening to
it's paying homage to the stuff that I love, particularly when I was in my early 20s.
Yeah.
When for me it was all about John McLaughlin.
Oh yeah.
It was John McLaughlin and it was Steve Morse. I was into that style.
Well, you have those
Yeah.
chops, and I remember one of your early solo records. And tell me if this is true. Had this amazing drum. All the drum performances were amazing. It sounded like Chad Wackerman to me.
Yeah.
And somebody told me that you did it all on a little SR-16.
Oh, that's right. Oh
Elises.
gosh, that's the first record. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it was
Is that
all
true?
It was all drum programming.
And I
yeah,
thought
it
that
just
the
sounds
level of
nuts.
this guy's brain is just out of
Yeah,
control.
it was like Billy Cobham style sounding stuff, but done on a drum machine.
That's incredible.
I had one of those, and
I remember
it
that.
Yeah,
was not easy to
HR16 and
get-
16B. Yeah, and
Yeah.
then finally, I moved to LA
Yeah.
where I can call, on my last record, the one I just mentioned, Simon Phillips, Vinnie Colaiuta, Gary Novak, Matt Locke is on the track,
Awesome.
and I love.
You went
I love
one
being
end to
able
the other, but it's all the interesting thing there is
Yeah.
it's all making music, and you got it done the way that you with the tool that you had, with
Yeah.
the SR-16, right?
Yeah.
The
That moment.
HR16.
HR-16, that's it,
HR-16.
yeah.
And this kind of ties into something I thought about this recently a couple of days ago. And it sounds like a stupid move. It was just kind of a stupid move for me back then. But it ended up being the right move. And you never know with your career when you're going to say something or do something you think might be a mistake, but then you realize later that it wasn't. And in this particular incident, I followed my muse. I was playing with Todd Rundgren. We had done 2 records. This is in the late '80s, early '90s. We were about to go on tour again. I just bought some recording equipment. A tape recorder, an 8-track real thing, Tascam thing, yeah. And I got a board. And I'd always been the kind of a kid with tape recorders, Porter Studios, 4 tracks, whatever, cassettes, reel to reels when I was young.
Yeah.
Always messed around with gear. I've always liked recording stuff. Mostly not real full songs, but just riffs or progressions or something like that. But by that time, I amassed this gear, and I was so into just doing recording, and it was time to do a tour, and I wasn't making any money. I mean, I was just freshly married. My wife was teaching at the time, so we had just enough to get by. But it's time to go on a tour, and I'm like, nah. I want to stay home and make my freaky instrumental crazy music. I just want to just freak out on my and I was completely driven by my desire to do my own thing.
Yeah.
At a time but you could see the other side of it, like, wait a minute, you're a married man, you've got bills, you should do the responsible thing.
Right.
Luckily, when my wife was working and we had enough to keep us,
You knew you were going to get by, but you would have done a lot better financially in the short term if you had gone out.
Much
and done
better.
that. I understand that.
Yeah, but I was
understand.
like so driven to make 10-minute fusion tracks.
Yeah.
And what it did for me is it started developing my composing sense.
Sure.
And arrangement sense and recording sense and technical sense that I built upon.
Yeah.
To going forward to a couple decades. So when I started really needing to use it in composing, by then I already knew gear. I knew how to record. I knew what a compressor was.
Right.
Not for guitar, but for vocals and things like that. I built upon that early action in the gear,
Yeah.
paving the way.
Right.
I could have just gone on tour with Todd.
Yeah.
He's gonna love that.
Frank, Todd.
Tom, whatever it's called. I could have just continued doing that and just I've got to pay the beat up. But
you followed your
I followed my instincts and it paid off.
Yeah, saying no for an artist is a very important thing.
Yeah.
And looking at the long view and the long game, short-term money is not always the best decision. If you can afford somehow.
Yeah, no, I
stick
was.
to your guns.
I realized I was
Yeah.
I was blessed enough to be able to
Yeah.
say no, but
Yeah.
but going on tour with Todd Rundgren, I mean
And even that, and I'm sure there were pangs.
yeah.
Well, the thing about touring that I find interesting is that you it's wonderful, and so the great aspects are you get to go out there and playing with somebody like Todd, or you get to kind of, you play rock star for a minute where you're on a big stage in a big place, and that's fantastic, and you get that live, and you're traveling, it's wonderful. The downside is that you're sort of, in a way you're enriching and furthering your own career, but you're really out there to enrich their career and to help them, and they pay you for providing that service. A lot of time passes, I mean, when I think about touring and the touring I've done, I wouldn't change it for the world, but man, a lot of time's gone by where it's like that was time where I could have been recording a solo album or doing a record with a band or doing something, but I chose to go on the road and tour. And those are these decisions we make. This 6 month, 8 month, a year goes by, and you've only got so much time.
Well, and I would say to anybody who looks at a touring musician and envies them, there is another side to it. Because while you're at home, you can get a lot of artistic stuff done that will build you into a better musician for the work that you might do 5 years from now. So.
Right.
And that's exactly what that's my whole story, the point of my whole story.
Yeah.
Was that what you just said so eloquently in 2 sentences.
Yeah. Well, and he made that decision to stay home.
Yeah, and that's exactly how I feel, Pete, when you said that. You're living their life. That's how that's exactly how I feel when I'm on the road. I'm like, because it takes, you play for an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then you've got 14 hours of the day that you're in a hotel. And you're somewhat you're living their dream.
Yeah,
that's how it feels.
It's hard to it's a wonderful thing. I wouldn't do, like I said,
it's
I wouldn't
great.
change it for the world,
but it is a sacrifice.
It is a sacrifice, and you do spend a lot of time. And I think about the time I've spent, and this is a different kind of life enrichment. Walking around cities like Tokyo and Paris, and getting to
I've seen your photos. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
learning these places, and
that's
again,
a paid vacation to a degree.
To a degree, and it's wonderful. But every second that you spend doing those things is a time where you could have spent, writing a song or doing something that maybe towards or
making
with
a
your
connection.
family. For God's sakes, right?
Yeah.
I think about my friends with kids.
Yeah.
I don't have kids. That's got to be the craziest.
Well, absolutely. That's exactly right.
Not being there watching your kids grow up and stuff.
Sure.
So there's all these sacrifices.
And I think there are people that their goal is to tour.
Yeah.
The ultimate goal is to be living the other person's dream, and that's fantastic. Yeah. It just wasn't. It wasn't for me. It wasn't enough for me. Right. I've always been the kind of guy that got bored easy. And regardless of how good it was, like, well, okay.
Well, and you did
I played this game to the completion. Now, I need to go to the next level.
Yeah.
And I think that's what always trying to grab for something different and sort of beyond my scope of what I can do has led me to work with a 70-piece orchestra and do orchestral music and and those things. And because I was like, I want to try that. I know I can do it. I've got to
Yeah.
I don't have the training for it, but I could figure out how to do it.
Well,
One other aspect of your work that you and I have talked about is that when you work for somebody, sometimes you have to give them a lot of time on a favor in order to keep the relationship there.
Yeah.
So somebody hires you for a big project, and their next project might be a development project, and you have to be there and do that for them because they're loyal to you, and you have to be loyal to them.
Right.
Hence, what happens? You get pretty busy when a couple of those people call at the same time.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you made me think sort of full circle about when I started, when we started the show here talking about touring, doing sessions and these kinds of things, and then making this incredible jump to film composing and stuff that you've done. It's not like you didn't tour, you did it, and then you made it. And for many people, that would have been it, and you would have continued and gone and done. But for you, yeah, you had other interests that you pursued, even as as daunting as that may be. Like you say, I don't know how to 70-piece orchestra, but you figured it out. And that's
if someone asks you can you do this, you say yes.
Right, and that is
right.
Always
say yes and figure it out later.
You figure out a way to do it.
Yeah.
You figure out a way to do it. Get someone to help you. If you, if you need to, whatever it is. But just
that's so great.
Can't stress enough. I mean, I've gotten calls about doing auditions and for gigs where I've been like, my instant is fear is my first. But you just no problem. I can do it. I mean, I remember I'm a born singer. I'm not like a born singer, but I sing on gigs and I do it.
Yeah.
I'll never forget auditioning for Don Henley, and the first time I auditioned for Don Henley in 2000, and him saying, so do you sing? And what hits your head instantly when somebody like that asks you a question like that is you're in the Eagles. That's what you're one of the most iconic voices of all time, and you're asking me a question like that, and it's like,
that's exactly right. That's the right answer.
And
that's exactly the right answer.
There's a mental, and you figure it out, and then you practice and you go do it. Right to the.
And it's better to die trying, as they say.
Right.
It's better.
Right.
It's better to sort of try something than fail. And guess what? Failing is good.
Sure.
Failing is fantastic. Because that's how you learn from a failure. You learn more from a failure than you do from a success.
They asked Louis C.K. the secret to success, and he said just failing every day and starting over, basically.
Absolutely.
That's how you succeed.
It's the getting on the horse, back on the horse when you do, and then the other side of it, you don't fail. Right. You rise to the occasion.
Well, the recovery from failure is the success.
Either way, you're ahead of the game.
And that is the best feeling in the world, is when you get through it and you feel that, it's Miller time now. It's just like the sense of accomplishment. Like, I guess I can hang in this environment. And that is like working with a 70-piece orchestra or something for the first time, and you get done that day, and when it works out, you're like, I don't know. It's just.
Well, and don't you guys find that when you're in it, it's really hard and it's a lot of labor. But 5 days later, when you look at the result, you don't remember the agony. You just see this beautiful thing that you were able to participate in. It's really great.
Yeah, you see that, and then you can just take it in and appreciate it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Wow, cool.
Yeah.
What's that? These or you?
One's fine.
It's like a fat silicone, It's pretty good, right? Combining them is like having a treble boost and a fuzz in one.
That's great.
Can you hand it to me? Will it reach?
I think
I'll turn some knobs while you play.
Yeah, so this is a BAE, what's it called? It's a hot fuzz, right?
Hot fuzz.
Treble boost and silicone fuzz in one pedal.
Have you found that the single coil pickup is the best mate for this? Have you tried the humbucker?
I've used it with everything, and it's just cool. It's like, I don't know, because it's, obviously it'll do the, with humbuckers and stuff, you can get that that with the treble booster.
I love how much bottom, the way the bass sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty beefy. It's actually cool with this amp. I dig it.
So it's a clean, totally clean amp sound.
Yeah.
Very nice.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah, it sounds
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, that's
Good
pretty
job,
neat.
Pete.
Thank you.
Wow. And I love the pickups and the
Because I've been
Right.
5.
Oh, do you?
5.
Oh, wow.
Cool. The difference between the two. Stop.
Should we hit the fuzz?
Go for it.
This is the treble booster by itself now. It makes it sound like you do that to the guitar, but combine that with the fuzz.
And
guys
it's,
put good
it's
gear in my
not
hands.
too fuzzy and kind of, ratty sounding. Some fuzzes can be sort of
Yeah.
ratty in that area you really don't like.
Yeah, I dig it. It's fat.
Yeah, it's bad.
With the record I just made with this girl Holly Henderson, she's a really cool guitar player. Anytime I use a distortion box or even just an amp distorted, she was like, "It sounds too much like somebody's going to start to shred to me. Like, can't you get?" And I'd pull this out, and it was like, she's like, "Yeah, that's it. Like the fat, the fuzz. Like it was more her deal."
Well,
so.
single notes sound really great on double stops too.
There's one of those in every episode where I'm just like, "Oh,
Yeah,
man, why do
forget it,
why do
forget
I
it.
even play guitar?"
Game over.
All right, that was so much fun.
It was really a
thank
lot
you,
of fun.
Lyle.
Thank you, Lyle.
Thank
Yeah.
you for coming. I enjoyed speaking with you guys. It was really
And
fun.
you, if you're a big time director, you can find you. But if you're not, how can we find you?
Go to the NAMM show.
Yeah. I'll be stalking Bootsy at every NAMM show from now on.
Call your agent, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, Facebook. I have a Facebook,
Facebook,
stuff.
good.
I have a website, but it's kind of outdated, but it's there still.
The solo records for me really are just
Oh, thanks.
amazing. So
Yeah, those are on CD Baby, and then some of this Love. We just did a Love soundtrack for the show, and then I've several. This is the Superbad soundtrack. Is that out there? This Burt Wonderstone. That's out.
yeah, great.
A movie called Win Win. There's a soundtrack for that as well, and. Anyway, I don't want to list them all. But
Awesome. We can
Well,
find
you
all
can
your
find
stuff.
We'll put them in the video
Yeah.
description.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was so much fun. So
I had
so
a great
nice.
time, guys. Thank you.
Thanks for
I'm
having
honored
us.
to be sitting and talking to you guys. Really,
Likewise.
it's really fun.
Well, thank you, Lyle. And hey, we'll see y'all real soon on the Tim and Pete Guitar Show. Like I said, we're gonna make more.
Yeah.
We're gonna make more. We're gonna be more consistent about it. We just got kind of busy, but we're gonna get on it.
Yeah, we are.
All
I
right.
promise you.
Okay. Thanks so much. See you soon.